0% of you are subscribed. Fix that.
You should thank the great capitalists, the great entrepreneurs, the great businessmen for creating a world in which workers who couldn't build an automobile, who couldn't actually create an iPhone, and instead of thanking those people, we want to complain and gang up against them and take their wealth and redistribute it.
So
that is the essence of evil immorality.
The fact that we live in a more economically and technologically productive time has nothing to do with the fundamental ethical question of resource distribution, so I'll ignore that. It's fun. Wait, hold on, really quick. It's funny because there are so many incredible hypocrisies here. First of all, wait, you just went on a whole thing.
Wait, 1 second, you're on.
Needed in a certain way. You can't just start from we have this world, now let's divvy up the products. Who made this world? Who created this world?
Hold on. It's funny because earlier I pointed out that all of the technological innovations you were celebrating and praising CEOs for were actually made by engineers. The CEOs were the idea. Hold on, Urin, please.
We can actually use.
The CEOs were the idea guys, a very valuable thing in the R&D field, by the way. So it's funny because earlier I got you to admit that, yeah, we all contribute, you know, we all put in our labor to make these products. But then what do you go right back to doing 30 minutes later? You should thank the CEOs for building the world that you have the pleasure of living in. You're a bootlicker, man. You claim to be anti-authoritarian, but all you're doing is ascribing to nature the logic of kings and queens of the past. Before, you know, you worked for them or they killed you. Now you say, oh, it's just natural that you work or die. Sure, you get a choice in your workplace, a choice in kings, but then you say, at least they're nicer. Do you know why the kings today are nicer? Because unions fought for labor laws. The 40-hour work week that you said makes us better than the kings of old, fought for by unions. The holidays that you claim make us better than the kings of old, fought for by unions. All of the reasons why work today is better than work then were because of people like me fighting against people like you. I noticed, by the way, that you still haven't answered for the fundamental circular question, how do you determine productivity when you're arguing that productivity is a metric which is determined by your wealth or your income, and then the income determines your productivity, the productivity is determined by your wealth? What does this mean? This argument works just fine with the kings. You say the kings didn't oversee labor? Yes, they did. You say the kings didn't oversee economic production? Yes, they did. You say that the kings didn't factor coercion into their, decision making? Well, it seems you don't either, because you're just saying, let nature be the king. You work or you die. I reject this because I do believe in positive freedom. A welfare state, so no man need work unless they want to, and fair wages and unions, so when a man does work, they're paid for their labor, not by this abstract, esoteric, self-justifying productivity you keep referring to. By the way, go into any warehouse, everyone there is being paid the same wage. You ask them, do all you do the same amount of work? No. Not by this metric, but rather by what workers can compel their employers to give them. What they have, the bargaining power that we give them. That's what earned us all of these niceties you ascribe to the beneficence of CEOs. People like me. You don't even want the niceties that you say are the reason why working today is better than working for a king.
What's that?
You say like working today is better. You don't even want work today to be better than work was underneath kings. If it weren't for those labor laws passed, people would go back to working the 80 to 100-hour work weeks that were common during the Industrial Revolution. We fought to make the world better.
That is complete and utter nonsense. The reason work weeks are shorter is because people are far more productive, because once people receive wealth...
No, it's because they lobby the government. Unions lobby the government. You're just lying right now.
That is just not true. The fact is that as people got more productive, they became more valuable. Therefore, they negotiated higher salaries. Therefore, they negotiated shorter work weeks. That is a negotiation.
No, they didn't. They passed a law from the government. It wasn't a negotiation. They didn't have unions.
The government comes in after the fact and instituted laws after those habits had already been established within a society.
You're objectively lying. I'm looking right now at a historical timetable of the 40-hour work week. You're just incorrect. It was unions, labor unions, working together to organize their people to pressure politicians. This was not some, all the corporations came together and recognized with such benevolence that workers were more productive and therefore didn't need to work 100-hour work weeks. You're just lying. This is bootlicking, man. You're reframing history in a way to support the most privileged people in our society. This isn't pro-freedom. You would be like the lapdog of the king 300 years ago. I hope you know that. You would have been a loyalist during the American Revolution.
I mean, you're the one who sides with authoritarianism. You're the ones who side with government forcing workers and forcing employers to set the terms
Makes us free.
rather than people in voluntary transactions deciding what the terms of the deal should be.
I'm liking these voluntary 80 to 100-hour work weeks and the voluntary child labor at the time that was common.
Replace the king with the dictatorship of the proletarian. You're the one who would like to replace the king with enslaving those of us who happen to be more productive than others, with enslaving those of us who actually produce, so that we can feed parasites who do not want to work. You want to use the authoritarian power of the state to force me to pursue your values.
So this is how every conversation with an objectivist goes. This is how every convo with an objectivist goes, with them screaming that I don't have the right to make the world a better place. Like that's hold on. The free association that you were referring to beforehand. Wait, I appeal to the moderator again. I feel like I can't.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Yaron. If you want to let him finish, please.
The free association that you were referring to before labor laws, children worked 12 hours a day. Human beings will work 80 to 100-hour work weeks. They were stacked up in slum tenements with living conditions exponentially worse. Wait, stop. Wait, please. Okay. The voluntary association you're referring to made people miserable and poor, and then the tyrannical hand of the government waved it by, and all of a sudden people's lives get significantly better. My vision of a good world is not dictated by what do you want? Ultimate freedom to enslave and oppress your fellow human? No. My vision of a good world is one where people are free, and the positive freedom you claim to value is the freedom to live life outside the pressures of an autocratic economic system. And what is 80 to 100 hours work week but autocratic? What freedom is there in a life where you work 14 hours a day? There is no freedom. No matter how voluntary that exchange, no matter your right to leave that job, no matter your right to pack up your things and leave, there is no freedom in that job. The freedom you're fighting for is a fake freedom, a freedom to control and dominate others for wealth. The freedom I'm advocating for, if you would just pay your taxes, is the freedom for human beings to live a life that would have been considered utopian to humans 100 years ago. We are so productive, our society is so incredibly economically privileged that we are capable of sustaining people who otherwise wouldn't be able to work. The disabled, the needy, we can give them dignified existences, and all it costs us is a fraction of the significantly higher wages we have now. The world you're advocating for
has always worked. I'm saying capitalism is the only system in all of human history that has liberated children
because
from work.
unions advocated for it. Yes.
Because of increased productivity of labor.
No, that's a complete lie. Let me finish the point. Hold on. I've actually heard this argument before, and it was unironically when I was reading 1984. The totalitarian government of Oceania would rewrite books constantly to ascribe to the party greater and greater inventions in the past. That they invented the helicopter, and then they invented the plane, and then they invented the train, etc. So what you are doing right now, what you're doing right now is providing demonstrably false arguments in favor of the narrative that everything good... Stop, wait, hold on. That everything good today is because of the beneficence of capitalism and CEOs, when everything you're saying is objectively wrong. CEOs, do they do nothing? No, and I've never said they do nothing. But your narrative that they do everything, and that every God-given grace that lands upon their feet, every pile of gold, every sacrifice, all of it is deserved because anything they have must be deserved because they have it. It must be deserved. Of course they deserve it. They have it. Is a lie.
Look,
if you go with Yaron's world, here's what you have to do. First, you work or you die, in spite of the fact that we don't have to do that here in our current world. That's the world that you get to live in if you go with him. Give more power to the people who were fighting for child labor, and less power to the unions that fought against it. Give more power to the corporations that were fighting for the 80 to 100-hour work week, and less power to the unions that fought against it. Everything good in life, all of the union created workplace benefits that you enjoy, take those away. Those are coercive, somehow, even though they lead to everyone in America having more freedom. It violates some abstract coercive principle that is known only to objectivists, the way bees can see ultraviolet light. I'm afraid I just can't see it. We live today in the freest time in history not because CEOs have more power than ever before to stomp on the little guy, but because we developed democratic states that allow us to take the ungodly wealth that modern economic systems produce through workers, thank you, and redistribute it in ways that maximize human happiness. Because after all, that's what I care about. It's humans being happy, not some weird, esoteric, self-referential definition of coercion that can't even account for the existence of positive freedoms. A man exiled to the middle of the Sahara Desert with no laws restricting him is free in the truest sense, free to die of dehydration within 12 hours. Not a freedom I'm interested in. Real freedom means you have the ability to pursue that which you want, and that is not a freedom that you are going to get while under the boot of the people that Yaron Brook so fervently idolizes. There's really just no getting around this. Whether you're looking at the dishonesty with the efficacy of unions or how wages come to be, or this, again, this self-referential productivity equals wages equals productivity, which I've asked like 20 times. How do you even check for that? And I can't get an answer to it because it doesn't mean anything. Again, go to any workplace, ask all the people making minimum wage, hey, do you all work the same amount? No. Does the hardest worker always get promoted to managerial position? No. How do you even determine this? Do CEOs really work 300 times as hard as the people beneath them? Are they really 300 times as productive? I don't know, but they get paid 300 times as much, so I guess they must be. This is a system designed to manufacture human misery, and it's the reason why I go hard in it. I don't have a problem with CEOs working hard to invest money. You know, if I wasn't so lazy, I probably would have formed an LLC myself. I'm just lazy, so I haven't. The principle isn't something that I'm against. Use your capital in ways that benefit the human species. Phenomenal, fantastic. But that does not mean you have infinite power to trample over the people beneath you. Much in the same way, I don't have a problem with people homesteading and making cool houses out in the forest. I do have a problem with kings and queens annexing entire colonial provinces and brutally, oppressing the people who lived there previously. It's not about the principle. It's about how far are you going to let people with power run away with that power. And for me, the answer is not very far at all. Less far than what they get today. Very short distance we're going to let them run. And it's going to be for all our benefits. But I felt like we were in like Looney Tunes land.